like internships do kind of roll around when they do, and they can be rare sometimes. So sometimes you have to create opportunities for yourself, and a lot of it is from throwing yourself into different areas or different communities and finding where the opportunities are there rather than trying to just wait for applications to come back and see if you got an internship or not. I had $200,000 in debt. And on top of that, I didn't have any money to do a boot camp. And so what did I do? I went to MIT online and Harvard online, and I just took the online courses and I studied for every single day for 4 hours after work because I had a 9 to 5 because I had to help. I had to help my family. So it's tough. And I did that for 2 years. Can you share some skills I need because I've never get the chance for internships? Yeah, I could share some tips. I talked a little bit about having like a problem solving mindset, so that's important to have. You can get a problem solving mindset by solving more problems, obviously, but start with like Rubik's Cubes or playing chess. Those are good ways to understand how to apply logic and understand patterns in the same logical way that computers and computer science concepts work. And then there's a lot of soft skills outside of the technical ability. So a lot of patience to understand computer science topics because they can be a little bit difficult, and taking your time to collaborate with other people just so that you can like not feel alone in the entire process. Outside of that, I think like if you see an opportunity, you just go for it, whether it's working on something that's open source or an internship. Like internships do kind of roll around when they do, and they can be rare sometimes. So sometimes you have to create opportunities for yourself, and a lot of it is from throwing yourself into different areas or different communities and finding where the opportunities are there rather than trying to just wait for applications to come back and see if you got an internship or not. I feel like the technical part, it can be complicated, but if you have the tenacity and the resilience to work on it all the time, then it's no different than being a lawyer that reads a lot or a doctor that's practiced over and over again to make sure that they're really good at their job. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I did 3 boot camps and failed every coding interview. I'm starting to feel like coding is not for me. I'm $75,000 in debt. I can't get a job. What do I do? Well, I'm sorry to hear that that's your situation. If it makes you feel better, I went through college and I was $200,000 in debt, and now I'm at 100,000, I think. I've been paying it off for 6 years now, and I have a better job that's able to help me pay it off. So I just want to let you know that it does get better. Sometimes it does feel like there's a lot of things moving against you, but don't give up. The first thing I want to ask is, you did 3 boot camps. Why did you do 3 boot camps? Usually boot camps kind of cover the same thing. Like they relatively try to prepare people or give them a general understanding of the tech industry. And so they end up kind of showing the same thing. So I'm kind of confused why you did 3 of them. If you're failing coding interviews, then it doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you haven't practiced enough to understand the patterns. So all of the coding interviews in general, for any coding interview, are all just data structures and algorithms, right? So there's only a finite amount of data structures and algorithms, which means that all of the questions that you see are problems that can be broken down into patterns. So a certain set of problems are going to use hash maps, a certain set of problems are going to use binary trees, another set is going to use arrays, and another set is going to use linked lists, right? It's about understanding, like reading the problem and understanding what type of problem you're dealing with and what data structure you can use in order to solve it. That is the technical aspect of it. If you feel like your pattern recognition is fine, like you are understanding what the problem is and you're getting solutions consistently, then I would say that what I would think is probably lacking is probably some soft skills. So if you know the answer and you're just solving the problem and you're not really going through your thought process, it kind of makes it hard for somebody to understand what you're doing. If you feel like coding is not for you because you're discouraged, because you're failing, that's totally normal. The only reason that you think coding isn't for you is because you're failing, then I would recommend, just from like a friend perspective, right? Like I wouldn't recommend quitting, just because if that's the current mentality, then what's to stop you from quitting when it's carpentry or business or mathematics or science, right? Anything that you start in life, you're going to fail. Like nobody wakes up one day and they're just perfect at what they do. Everybody is going to fail, and you have to get used to understanding that failing is a part of growing, and it's a part of progressing. And if you're failing a lot of things, then it means that you're going in the right direction. If you just were perfect at everything and you were a genius in everything, like, sure, you'll be able to cruise through life, but at some point, like, even geniuses have to deal with failure. And when they deal with failure for the first time, they won't know what to do because it's their first time dealing with failure. And I've seen it happen. You're doing well, you're doing great, and just trust the process. And if you don't want to trust the process because that's some cliche BS, you did 3 boot camps, and boot camps usually last 6 months. So let's say you've been doing this for a year and a half. Look at the past year and a half, right? Look at all of the progress that you made. Like, look at your resume and see how well you're doing. Like, you're not failing by any means. You're just not there yet, right? Hopefully that helps you, Myro. When I just finished college, I didn't learn anything in my 4 years. I had $200,000 in debt. And on top of that, I didn't have any money to do a boot camp. And so what did I do? I went to MIT online and Harvard online, and I just took the online courses, and I studied for every single day for 4 hours after work because I had a 9 to 5 because I had to help. I had to help my family. So it's tough. And I did that for 2 years, and I learned a lot, obviously, and I'm happy I got through it. But these are the things that got me through it. Like, I'm telling you this stuff just because I lived through it. So just keep it up. How do you manage your work-life balance as a software engineer? Man, I mean, am I really balancing it? It's 9:44 p.m. I'm about to go to bed in like 20 minutes, and I'm still coding like my personal project after I worked a 9 to 5. I worked my 9 to 5. I traveled home. I did some physical therapy, and then I went straight into my coding project. And I try to do that every day as much as I can. I leave weekends out to help recharge myself. I used to work 8 hours. Like, I used to work on my app for 8 hours on Saturday, like a whole work day. But I found that if I did like 4 hours, I would feel pretty content with it. And then I would spend the other 4 hours and the rest of the day to hang out with my friends and family. Just try to make these small little adjustments to realize that work is not life. And that's kind of the general gist of mastering work-life balance. I've also read a lot of self-improvement books. What's a good self-improvement book for work life? I would recommend 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's my favorite self-improvement book. It's by Stephen Covey. That book is just a general good book for understanding self-improvement. It kind of sets your mind right for understanding life in a way where work isn't at the center of it. As soon as you realize that it's your life and that work is one of the circles around your life, then it becomes a lot easier to balance. It's almost like life is in the center of it and work kind of takes its own orbit around you, similar to like video games or spending time with friends and family. Like, you never tell to yourself, oh, I'm spending too much time like playing video games, or I'm spending too much time like with friends and family, right? And the reason why you don't is because like it's kind of an orbit in your life. Like, it's not the center of it. And work-life balance feels unbalanced, and it feels like work is taking over when you kind of put work in the middle of it. So you kind of have to just take it out a little bit. Just ignore your coworkers, just like walk towards the door or just say goodnight and you know, head out the door. You'll start to just realize how much time you have left, and you'll also realize how much time you end up putting towards clarity when it comes to a lot of your projects. I actually found that the reason why I'm able to maintain work-life balance so well, because I give myself the break, it allows me to think about what I need to do for my project when I step away from it. The best thing about software engineering is that it is virtual. Everything is in your head. You can probably carry a good 5 files and a good amount of architecture and whatever you're working on inside your head when you get used to it. You do not need to sit at the computer and pretend that you are working hard. It is more effective to take a step out, keep it in your head, and just go through your day and then come back when you have an answer, which is what I did a lot when I was practicing lead code. I would read the question and then I would go wherever I want to go. If I had to go see a friend, I would travel an hour to see my friend, and the entire hour I would think about the lead code problem in my head. And by the time I was done with my drive or whatever the travel is, I would go into my phone, go into my notes app, and I would write crappy pseudocode just so I wouldn't forget. And then when I came home, I went into the notes app, I wrote it down, I tried to implement it properly. What's up, Aryan? 8:15 in India. Cool. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Just wondering, on what thing are you working on right now at Google? All of my work is public. So I'm going to leave it as an Easter egg for everybody watching right now, but you can find my work in the Chromium repo. So if you don't know what that that is, it's essentially a public repository that hosts a public version for the Chrome browser, but like the public version. So it's a web browser repository, and Chromium is actually used in a bunch of different things. I think it's used in Bing. It's like a gaming web browser. It's like Optics or something like that. But a lot of other web browsers, like third-party web browsers, are built off Chromium. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see a lot of information about my job. I work on Chrome for iOS devices. And yeah, I'm just working on the app. I can't speak specifically on the features or projects that I'm working on, but if you just type like Chromium repo on Google, like you'll find it, and then you can find me pretty easily because my name's pretty easy to search up. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next stream. I love you all. Have a good night. Make sure to keep coding, and I'll see you guys in the next one.